What's up, guys? This is John with Skate Better, and this is the Independent versus Thunder truck review. So before I get into the trucks themselves, I just wanted to say that I don't believe that one truck is better than the other. I think they're both amazing trucks, and they just get used for different things depending on what you like to ride, what kind of style you have, what kind of decks you like to ride, and personal preferences. So I'll get into what I mean by that in a sec, but if one of them was significantly better than the other, then every single professional rider would be riding that truck. And it's not. It really is a personal preference. So in a nutshell, the main differences between Thunder trucks and independent trucks are going to be the height of the truck. So this is the independent hollow light. This truck is a little bit higher. I'd say it's like 1/8 of an inch higher than the Thunder truck. So Thunders are just a little bit lower. Lower truck gives you a lower center of gravity. And a higher truck, when you're ollieing, the tail has a little bit further room to snap down, and because of that, the board is actually going to be at a higher angle. So you have the tiniest bit higher ollie depending on what kind of deck you're using it with. So that is one difference. And the other difference is, I would say, when you're riding independence, so the distance between this base plate and the axle is slightly further back. So what that means is when you're riding independent trucks, in a nutshell, they're going to be closer together. When you ride Thunder trucks, they're going to be slightly further back. Why does that matter? I want to give a shout out to Ben Degros, because he has a good channel that really explains this, and that's where I'm getting most of this from when I explain this part. But essentially, this is your truck, this is your deck, right? So let's just say my arm's a deck. Here's my tail, here's my nose. When I have a truck that is further in, right? Potentially, what'll happen is I'll get a little snappier response in the tail, right? So just a little bit easier to get the tail to the ground. But my nose will not go up quite as high when I ollie. Now, if I move that truck further back, right? So now I'm riding Thunders, let's say, it's a little bit further back. It takes more power to get the tail down, right? So it takes more. Think about this as like a lever, right? But my nose also goes a little bit higher. So why that matters is every deck has a wheelbase. So your deck is also a lever. So when you're looking at this is my lever right here, my lever point for when I do my ollies, right? So if I have one that is too far in, like this, then it's going to be really easy, quicky, snappy, responsive, but I'm only going to get the nose up like this high, right? And it probably won't translate to a very powerful pop. But if I move it back a little bit, like you can see these Thunders are like directly over this back bolt, which is pretty ideal. That's where you want your lever. It also will affect your manual spot. Now, I have to put a little bit more power to the tail, but my nose will go up higher when I ollie. So it's not necessarily like if you ride an independent truck, you're gonna have a shorter, more responsive whatever, and if you ride a Thunder truck, you're gonna have a higher ollie. It really does matter where the truck lands in the deck. So like, if you have a deck where you need a truck that goes out a little bit further because your wheelbase being the space between this bolt and this bolt, because your wheelbase is a little bit longer, then you might want to go with Thunders because those are going to give you wider wheelbase or a wider space between your trucks. If you have a deck that is significantly shorter, or the distance between this is a little bit further in, then you might need a Thunder that brings it in a little bit more so you have a better lever point. So what I'm telling you guys is like, it's not necessarily one truck is better than the other. They're just better for different things, and you really need to get the right truck that fits the right deck. Like, trucks are the skeleton of your setup. Like, I would say the meat and potatoes, that's your deck, but the skeleton and the actual structure of what you're going to be doing foundation on your board is your trucks. That's what's going to set up your ollies, what's going to set up your flip tricks. It's the base of everything that you do, because those are the lever points to which you apply force to make tricks happen. So the lever points themselves are your trucks. So just understand from a physics standpoint how important your trucks actually are. My personal review on trucks, I like Thunders. I also love Indies. Indies are meatier, so they're slightly heavier. They have more meat here where you would grind them down. Thunders, I find, are a tiniest bit lighter. And the other biggest difference I would say is like the turning. So Indies have a sharper turning radius. So what that means is like I can turn, it doesn't mean I can turn faster, that's responsiveness, but it does have a sharper turning radius. So I can make a really sharp angle if I want to turn inward. The Thunders don't have quite such a sharp angle, so I can't exactly get to 90 degrees as fast, but the Thunders turn really quick. So the Thunders are super responsive. So if I'm going fast and I like getting ready for a trick and set up on my Thunders, like I can feel a little bit of wobble there. I'm like, whoa, I kind of have to like reset. And with the Indies, it's more of like a gradual carve. So like if I have to make a slight adjustment right before a rail, I love the Thunders because I can do that. But if I'm like, I think a lot of people love transition skating on Indies because it does feel more like a carve. It's more of like a gradual carve than like a quick response. And that mostly has to do with the bushings, but it is an overall truck thing as well. So other than those two things, like you can base your personal preference. Do you like to be slightly lower to the ground? Do you like to have a little bit snappier pop? You can base that on what you want. And the last thing I would say, Indies versus Thunders, would probably be, okay, totally forgot what I was gonna say. Just remembered. Last thing between Indy and Thunders is, if you are riding Thunders, because they are a lower truck, they're gonna be sitting close to your deck, you do run the risk of more wheel bite. So the wheel bite is when the wheel presses, I'll show you guys. Most boards you'll see have a mark right here. Some people put like wax on it, whatever. But basically it's like when you're doing a trick and you land or whatever, and you're coming down with so much pressure that the wheel hits the deck, and it causes the wheel to stop spinning, and then you can like fall off your board, etc., etc. It sucks. So I skate 51 millimeter wheels. Usually if you ride Thunders or a truck that is lower, you will skate smaller wheels to accommodate for this factor. That being said, they're both amazing trucks. I like Thunders, I like the lower center of gravity, I like the quick responsiveness. I will be trying Indies again in the future. They're both amazing trucks, one is not better than the other, and if you're just starting out skating, you're probably not going to notice that much of a difference. But as you get more and more into it, the subtle things like your shoes being consistent, things like that, are going to affect more and more how you perform on your skateboard, so it does make a difference. Well, that about wraps up this review. I hope you guys got value from this. Have a great session, and thank you for watching.